Uh, Neek, yeah, go ahead. This is the 5 on 5 podcast presented to you. Hit that click. Boom. 5 on 5 podcast presented to you by directmusicservice.com. Promo code 5on5, FIVEON, FIVE will save you some money over there. Go get you some edits, remixes, originals from all the crew. Big show today, so we're just going to get right into it. I'm one of your hosts,
Big show.
Down the street from me, Neek Lopez. Down the street from him, Jupiter Williams. And our special guest today, ladies and gentlemen, an absolute legend. It's an honor. It's one of those shows where it's an honor to have this person in here. You know him from Move to the Drums, Sexy Bitch Remix, One Love, Let the Bass Kick, Moomba, the entire Dirty Dutch sound. He's a founding father. Yeah. He should tell you he's a founding father. He might deny it. He's a fucking pioneer in the scene. He is the man known as DJ Chuckie. Make some noise. Dude, such an honor. Such an honor to have you here, man.
Thank you for having me, guys. Really, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. We were talking before we hopped on. You are in the motherland. You are on the road. Every day's a travel day for you. Are you working on music down there? Just relaxing? What are you up to?
I'm actually on my way to the ABC Islands. Actually, so you have Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, and I got to go there on Saturday. And one of my boys from the motherland, they called me like, yo, we got like a very special private party. Like, come down. And I'm like, yeah, say no more, man. So, I came down here. We had a party on Sunday, and I just have a couple of days off. Nice. But I've been like, I needed this little break because I've been in the studio nonstop lately, man. So, I've been making so much music, so much new stuff. So I kind of needed a little break. So I'm happy to be here. But yeah, man, even tomorrow I got like a session with a local artist.
Dope.
Nice.
Pretty excited for that.
Back to the full speed grind, man. It never stops for you. And I know that you're a man of many talents, and you started off in the hip hop realm too. And I think people may forget that. The people in the States know you as electronic DJ Chuckie, as the Dirty Dutch sound, but you're dancehall, you're hip hop. You're so much more than that. You are true open format, as they say. You can do it all.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to get into some of the history, but we're going to start it off light with an easy question. For those that don't know, I already know the answer to this, but share the history of how you came up with DJ Chuckie, because I know it was supposed to be DJ 007.
Bro. Yeah, man. So basically, we were always looking up to the guys from ID&T, and ID&T is actually the guys behind Tomorrowland, the founders of Tomorrowland. We had Sensation White, but they also had these really early back in the days. We had this. I don't know if you remember the GABA sound. GABA. So they had this party. They had a lot of events with that, like a lot of early rave events, and they would throw, for example, I don't know, a Hellraiser party. They always had like a crazy team, And I remember just traveling and always, looking at those flyers they would put out, and they were always super impressive. And they would like have a DJ, like a Hellraiser event with DJ Hell or whatever, It was always in a certain kind of theme. And we were like, me and my brother were like, yo, we need some cool like that too, So we're like, yo, what if we throw a party and then, it's double, and you'd be DJ 007. And you show up with a headphone right on your side, like it's a Glock or something. Stupid shit like that. And then, but when I started, I was like 15. And my first gig was when I think I was still 15. And we were looking for something special. So I'm like, yo, but I'm still. So we were like thinking about marketing whatever we were doing. So we were like, yo, what if we just market you as like the youngest DJ of the Netherlands, and then we call the event Child's Play, and then you'll be Chuckie, And it fitted me so well because, like, let's say unofficial, my friends would always call me Chuckie because I was just a little rascal, bro. I was just always getting in trouble. So, that fitted well. And yeah, I was like, yeah, why not? Because 007 obviously didn't work. Yeah.
Dude, in honor of the Chuckie moniker, off top, real easy, I want you to give us your top 3 horror movies of all time.
Oh, fuck, man. That's hard, bro. That's a hard one. You got me off guard. Um, top three?
Top
Whew.
three.
Well, let me put it like this. When I saw Poltergeist the first time, I was scared as hell. So that made a big impact on me. I wouldn't say it's not something I would watch over and over, but Hellraiser.
Mm.
And if I would say, okay, probably some of these kids don't know Hellraiser or, Poltergeist. I would say, what's the one that they had in the, what's that name again? Blair Witch Project.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
And these kids definitely know that. So
yeah.
Blair Witch is crazy. Like, just thinking about how the release came out and no trailer, just
no trailer.
reactions.
They made it feel real too.
You know which one also made an impact? The one Paranormal Activity.
Paranormal Activity, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And not only had that movie like such a big impact on me, also just the way they did it. They had like a $30,000 budget.
Yeah, it was a student film. Yeah, and it was a student film, and then they showed it. They showed it in class, and then Steven Spielberg got wind of it, and he was the one to convince them to make a couple more endings. So they have like 3 or 4 endings of the original movie.
Some of the tactics they use when filming that is so funny because like they said that they were really sleeping.
Yeah.
In the scenes when they were like asleep and then they like did the jump thing to wake them up or like dragging her out of the bed. Like she was for real dead asleep. So they like to make it look real. Or they didn't know that like the cabinet scene in the kitchen, they didn't know that was coming.
Yeah.
So they were just in there. And so their reaction to seeing the fucking kitchen explode is like
real.
Genuine. So the whole time these fucking poor actors were just stressed the fuck out because they knew they're going to get scared at every turn.
But you know what? That kind of, it also really inspired me by, thinking like you don't need a big budget. You need a great idea.
Right.
Make it. And that's, so it inspired me on a whole different level. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, man. I can really appreciate this business model. Really.
Yeah.
And I think there were like a couple of spin-offs, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of sequels.
What's the one with the owl?
The one with what?
The owl. I didn't watch any of the sequels.
Oh, the marked one. The marked ones. Right? The with the Mexicans.
Oh yeah. I did see that one.
So obviously, and I think it's cool when you create something, thinking outside of the box, and then there's obviously a lot of copycats. I wanted to say like when and it really inspired me, but I was also like, you know what, as far as music, I was always trying to find the same kind of thing, and I think in Holland, if I want to take you back, I think in Holland, like when we started doing open format, we took it to a whole nother level. Playing records nobody would even expect. And I must credit another guy for it, a guy that came from the Canary Islands, Tenerife, this guy called Real Al Canario. And so I was already doing my thing as far as open format, but this dude came with a whole different open format,
Yeah.
Open format. And I'm like, okay, so that dude inspired us. And I was like, yeah, okay, but obviously he came from Canary Islands and he still had his kind of records, and I blended whatever was popular in Holland, and I took it to another level with whatever he was doing, and it's just cool to see how that eventually became so instrumental to wherever I was taking it after,
Yeah. Do you think the crowds were more receptive then or now to the true open format?
I would say both, because it was super new. So it almost like we would play disco records and whatever funk or rare grooves, and it would sound fresh to them, So they were like, so we kind of made it, we made people we forced them to listen to it and made it hip, in the club. We brought that sound to a club like it was like some new form of music. And so back then it was super new, but also because it's crazy to say, but I come from an era where you would either have a hip hop club or a house music club. There was nothing in between. So you either be hip hop or house music. You know what I'm saying? And we kind of blended both worlds. if that makes sense. And that eventually became like a new standard. You know what I'm saying?
What year do you think was around?
Sorry. I would say 2000, somewhere between 2001 and 2004 ish.
Cool.
Yeah. Like in general, hip hop DJs in Holland would play 80% hip hop and then the rest, whatever, or dance hall, a little bit, whatever's popular. But we really brought it to, because at a certain point I was doing like 30,000 tickets, big venue, and we would play open format. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Really open format, and so I think 2001, 2005 ish. And then
30,000 tickets on open format is fucking bananas.
Yeah. It is.
That's so nuts.
Because we made it appeal to let's say a wider audience. You know what I'm saying? Like we made it interesting for people that would love house music, because we brought it, kind of had that same energy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But also what's very important is that I started making music to connect certain records. So obviously it would be very just different. Like I could not play back then. I could not play those records international because it wouldn't make sense to nobody, But there was a lot of records coming from the States that kind of resonated, to the Dutch dance floors. It's crazy because we had this style back in the days. We called it bubbling, and bubbling is basically sped up. So we would play like 90s dance hall. Instead of playing it on 33, we would play it on 45. So those 90 BPM records would become like 128. And, obviously in America, you had Baltimore, but also there were like a lot of guys in New York doing like a Latin house kind of things. A lot of records like Strictly Rhythm Records, a lot of those labels, and Nervous Records.
Yeah,
they were very important to us because some of those records would just simply crossover and they would totally fit our dance floors, And like I always say, Armand van Helden was like, one of my biggest inspirations. Armand van Helden and Kenny Dope, to be exact.
I was gonna say Kenny, Louis, and Armand are kind of like
masters.
That whole Ralphie Rosario, that whole,
Yeah.
And Colin, that was a nice little find too that you found.
Yeah, I just saw that there's an Armand remix on Ghost Town DJ's My Boo. I had no clue.
I had the record too, and I didn't know it was him.
Bro, I asked Armand about it. I asked Armand about those records, and he told me, Armand told me the story. He's like, yo, man, I'm like, yo, bro, how come you would just produce so many different sounds? He's like, bro, to be honest, I would just produce the records and sell it for $1,200 because I just needed the money. I'm like, there's one interesting find, and I bet, I think you guys don't know. Armand van Helden produced this record for a dancehall artist called Skeeta Ranks. It's on Nervous Records. If you hear the record, he sampled a Smith & Wesson song, and he turned it into dancehall.
Wow.
And I found out that he produced that record, bro. And I'm like, I'll send you the link, and you're gonna be like, what?
That's crazy. It's so funny. Armand's like, especially like his 90s stuff, it seems so all over the place because he was making hip hop records, but he was also making house records.
Same goes for Kenny Dope.
Dope too.
Yeah. And even like after that, Loco Dice and so many more, with hip hop background, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's how I know Loco Dice. Me and Loco Dice have been friends forever because I know him from the hip hop days. I would play open format sets in Germany, and I've known him from way back. But it's actually, so Armand van Helden and Kenny Dope, like I said before, like in Holland, it was either hip hop or house, and I was a music lover, so I was, collecting vinyl, whatever genre. But I would never really play it in the clubs like that. And those guys really made me feel comfortable doing it because they would do it all. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, if they can do it, fuck it, I can do it. Yeah. So that's
With the separate scenes, there's two different scenes. I know we've talked previously. Nico's a b-boy. Was there a breakdance scene out there that people were getting into?
Oh, hell yeah.
Big time.
Oh, yeah. Hell, of course. Listen, and in the 90s, we all grew up with, even in the 80s, like we all grew up with whatever was coming out of America. And America was like, the promised land. Like, so you would have like an auntie traveling to America, whatever she brought back from the States is like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The most simple airport shirt with a New York print on it we'd be like, oh shit, it's from the States. Yeah. So even with the music, so we learned about American culture first through records. We would read press, or even I remember, if you remember the 90s, like, like any hip-hop record, any picture on it would have the freshest sneakers or some shit like that. And we're like, yo, what are those crazy,
Yeah.
So from we had whatever was happening in America, we copied it,
Yeah.
and eventually made it our own. It was for a long time that it wasn't even cool to rap in our local language. We all wanted to sound American. Like, it's only last, let's say, 10 years, 15 years, it's, people are cool with it. But before that, you had to sound American, you had to dress American. We would copy whatever. Yeah, it was like that. So we definitely had a scene, and eventually, we got our own subcultures. Like I said, we had the whole bubbling movement thing going on in the 90s, end of the 90s, beginning 2000s, and obviously whatever we were doing, it was still, kind of inspired by one of the elements. Yeah.
So did you start with hip hop records, or did you start with disco, or no?
So basically, I think the first record I bought was a drum and bass record, actually.
Oh shit.
I was big on drum and bass as a kid. I remember as a kid, I would listen to, we had this pirate station. I think it was just broadcasting from the UK, whatever. And I would listen to it every week. So I was like, and actually, because of, we would call it jungle back then, or breakbeat. Actually, because of jungle and breakbeat, I kind of got into electronic music. But when I started, obviously, the whole high school everybody was hip hop. So you grow up and all your friends are hip hop. We obviously were watching your MTV Raps, so we try to, even like with Crisscross, we would flip our pants like that. So we were very inspired by that. But for me, I started, so I grew up as a hip hop kid, and I was like collecting different kinds of genres, but I was certain that I wanted to play hip hop in the clubs, because that's my attitude, my friend's attitude. I cannot play any house records with my friends around. You know what I'm saying? But I got bored of that kind of quickly, because the majority of the people that would come to parties would just be boys, and hardly any girls. So I'm like, no, we got to switch it up, bro.
Yeah.
So that's
especially drum and bass too is only dudes, right? Like,
I'm telling you, man. Especially early 90s, man. Over like late 90s. Oh man, it's only dudes.
Yeah.
So I felt like I had to change it, for myself.
Everyone's standing around with their arms crossed, just kind of vibing. That's like a jungle show right there, right? Like, in a nutshell.
Same thing in Holland, man. Especially with hip hop as well. There were no girls in the parties, so I'm like, fuck that. I don't think.
So you look to the States, and you found house through Chicago, through Frankie Knuckles, through that kind of movement, stuff like that. And then you're like, okay, craft work. And I know Shannon Let the Music Play was influential to you as well.
Yeah, because back then I was living in the motherland still. And our country is not too far from America. Like, Miami is like a 2-hour flight from here. So obviously we were heavy. The radio here was heavy influenced by the States. And my dad was like a radio DJ. And I remember, like, they would always play whatever's hot, And then Shannon, I remember as a kid, when I heard that record on the radio, I was like, what the fuck is this? It really got me. And then I remember when, right before I moved to Holland, I got this Beat Street LP. So that was officially my first record, but I had to leave it in the motherland. Couldn't take it with me because there was no space in the luggage. But yeah, man, that was very important to me.
The transition as far as gear, did you make your way through CD turntables and then to CDJs, or did you go digital and Serato at any point, or no?
No. So I went from records to when the Pioneers came out, so the CDJs. I went to CDs first. Did that for a minute, and I think I switched. Yeah, I switched from CDs to MP3s. Never did the digital thing. Actually, I tried, but you know what it is. When I get busy, there's too much to think of. Computers that need to stay in the charger. And I like to party, so if I'm in the booth with some drinks, I don't want to spill it on my computer and then mess up the whole weekend.
Right.
I would like I don't want it to get too technical. And my impression was always when I saw these DJs playing with laptops, I'm like, yo, it just looks like somebody's. While he's in front of a crowd, he's just on Facebook. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's not me. I just want to stare at my crowd or see my crowd. Yeah. So I don't want to stare at the laptop.
And you're back to rocking vinyl too. I just saw that video of you playing Samir's theme. You're bringing vinyl gigs. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, I was always like, I will never get rid of my vinyl collection. Never. And at some point when when I got time and I'm bored with whatever I'm doing, I want to just do vinyl sets. Whenever all my classics are real classics, even Samir's theme is a real classic, then yes, I want to go. I just want to do vinyl parties. So I had a choice to either start my own event, like an all vinyl party, or like, you know what, let me just see whoever's doing what. So I found this collective from Amsterdam and they were already doing like vinyl parties. So I'm like, yo guys, I think I just want to join you guys, for them, it was kind of weird because I'm still a big name for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I explained it simple to them. I said, listen,
Chuckie, for us, you're a big name. You're a big name for everyone, man. Come on.
Thank you, man. No, but they were super surprised. And I'm like, no, I said, listen, I just don't want to have the headache of promoting an event. You guys are already doing great. And at some point, I just don't want to, be your competition. I'd rather join you guys. First of all, I love what you guys doing because obviously we're in it for the same love. So I'd rather join you guys. It's still, for me, it's a labor of love. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I'd rather join you guys. So they're cool. I get like, I don't know, gas money to play it. No, but it's totally cool. But at least I don't have to promote the events, and it's already a full.
You just got to show up to your thing.
Yeah, exactly. So when I joined them about 2 years ago, because it was only during the pandemic I started to have enough time to sorting out my records. So once I got there, the first gig, I was like, it took me 2 weeks to find a decent collection that would make sense to take to the club.
Right
now, obviously I'm a little bit more routine and super comfortable with it. I'm really, really, really having fun. And also it's funny that, we all know that kind of everybody starts to get into vinyl again or whatever, and just the whole thing, seeing a DJ literally struggling with records. It's still a cool sight to see, you're like, oh fuck, he's really doing it,
Yeah.
It reminds you that he's up there doing something.
Yeah.
There's this whole thing right now where people are just like, what the fuck do DJs even do? But when you see records, it's like people don't even know how a record works on its own, let alone blending them and beat matching and the whole thing. So now it's even like, I really have no fucking idea what they're doing.
Bro, I gotta tell you this. The first time I played on CDJs, like, that week, that little transition week, I stood behind the CDJs, and to me, it was just weird. Like the wheels were not spinning.
Oh, yeah.
It was so weird to stand there and see, obviously there's music, but the wheels ain't spinning.
Just like nothing's moving.
Nothing's moving. I'm like, yo, what? I felt so uncomfortable. I'm like,
yeah. Even the feel, you're like, you're used to that 1200 feel. When I pull back, it's got a certain pull to it. When I speed it up, when I'm twisting that, there's no middle knob to twist, there's nothing. It's like, all right.
And then also I wanted to say, I kind of lost my groove. That the first month I was nuts. I did not have the same energy as on vinyl, it was just a whole new me. So I'm like, okay, but how am I gonna do this? Because you don't sound anything like you used to a month ago. And I'm like, okay, but you can't, obviously you can't sound like how you sounded on vinyl. So I was like, okay, I have to make it work for me and find something to make it interesting, you know? So, you know, I obviously there were the hot cues, and I started burning my CDs in a certain way so I could queue up the next song really fast. So I would just, you know, do whatever to make it sound at least different from what I was not trying to copy the old me. I was trying to take it to a new level. And once I embraced that, I found ways to do it. You know what I'm saying? For example, the first trick I did was like I had, remember the Jaquan record Tipsy? We start with the kick and a clap.
Yeah.
So I had a kick and a clap, and so it would go like, and I would be like, do like a little routine. First, I would go like We Will Rock You.
Yeah.
And then after that, I would do like the one from Clips, the grinding sequence.
Grinding, yeah.
Boom. So I was trying to find those kind of tricks and trying to make it interesting again, you know.
Yeah.
And even that in Holland, so you know, people were obviously looking up to me as like an open format DJ, and people started copying that kind of that kind of style.
Yeah.
So I knew I was like on the right track, and then obviously I found some ways to do the same thing with house mixes, whatever I was doing. Yeah.
Was there ever a desire to be a turntablist or no?
Yes, 100%. And I got into this competition one time, and that's the first time and the last time. And I'll tell you why. I did not get my ass kicked, but I was sure I was supposed to win that competition. Because the thing was, I was the only DJ that did I had like a whole story prepared, right? So I had like a stack of records, had everything queued with the little tapes and whatever, the little stickers. So I came on and I threw away my headphone just to show them like, oh, fuck, he's going to do it without any headphones. Obviously, I had the whole story. So I was doing my thing, and that I even if I have to say, like, I know that set was tight. Even mixes, the transition, everything was tight. And then these motherfuckers put me in second place because because obviously the guys that were first place, they're friends. I'm like, okay, if it's like this, I don't want to be part of this.
I'm done.
Because if it's not, it's gonna be. If this is the vibe, no, fuck this shit.
It's political already. I'm out.
Yeah. But trying to become like, because obviously it comes from hip hop, you wanted to, at least I knew like the basic scratches and whatever I could do, like a little bit juggling, back spinning. That really helped me, let's say, be different than, a lot of other DJs, because a lot of DJs just were not technical. They would just simply mix. And I would use that even in big crowds. I would use, my technical ability to do certain things. And that really made me, I want to say, stand out as well. It really helped me. Yeah.
I want to ask about something that I've always felt was a little bit different than the States.
Yeah.
And that's in Europe in general, it seems like that the perception of house music, dance music, and hip hop culture do kind of overlap. Whereas in the States, even like, I mean, in the 90s, even, it was very separate, but like the people who were in it, like the people we talk about, like Armand and all them, are very influenced by hip hop. But in Europe, it seems like it's almost one and the fucking same, especially in the 90s. Like they dress the part, they buy the, you know what I mean? Like everything is kind of.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because, hip house was a thing. There's so many hip hop groups. Even EPMD had like a house record. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So to me, even in the States, it was like they were embracing it, and I feel like in Europe it was kind of separate. And obviously, so there was an era, and we all know this, like the new Jack Swing era, where the beats were like a little bit more up tempo. There was like a housey-ish kind of remix. So even if it would be like Jimmy Jam or what's his Terry Lewis?
Terry Lewis.
Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
Yeah, exactly. Like they would have housey, almost housey-ish kind of soulful kind of records. You know what I'm saying?
they produced that Human League album.
Exactly. Or even like Kenny Riley had house-ish kind
like
of records.
bouncy, yeah, like
Yeah. So to me, I think it's because of the let's say the whole attitude of hip hop was like the way we say house is house, and hip hop, especially because we grew up with a different kind of house. You know, obviously we had your influence as well, but we had this whole Euro bounce thing already, like back in the 90s. You know,
that was already
house had its own graphics. And I believe those graphics were inspired by, if you look at the Felix the House Cat, what's his song, Silver Screen Records. So we're all like freaky kind of videos, you know, and we kind of took that as a style. Okay, this is house, and hip hop had the baggy pants and all this stuff. So for me, it's like the other way around. Like it was definitely separate. It was only later that, you know, people saw that, you know, it's kind of like the way you feel.
There's an overlap, yeah.
Yeah, but the overlap for us came when I was doing the whole open format thing. It helped that, you know, everybody, for example, liked NERD, you know, the way they dressed, and they were not hip hop, but they're hip hop, but they could also appeal to a rock crowd, you know.
Yeah.
So those kind of elements definitely help. But to me, it was just two different worlds, man. It's only later that kind of.
Interesting. Yeah, I've always felt like my perception of it was like I look at like the UK and their garage scene, and like they're wearing like Nauticas and baggy jeans and like Tommy, like they're dressing like 90s pop. Yeah.
Fast forward 2023, all the techno DJs
same shit. They're all wearing baggy. The techno guys are now dressing like they're hip hoppers.
I come from an era in Holland, and when I say I come from an era, because it was so, you don't even understand the politics I had to deal with. I come from an era where, like, especially when I made the transition from hip hop clubs to, let's say, more housey clubs. I come from the days where they would be like, yo, even my agent would be like, yo, but you know, if you want to do this housey, you gotta dress housey. Like, what the fuck is dressing housey? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, maybe you shouldn't wear snapbacks. Stuff like that. And then obviously, you know, I grew up in a fucked up neighborhood, and all my friends they look like straight thugs. Sometimes my agency would call me like, yo, you might want to leave some friends at home. I'm like, what the fuck are you? I come from those days. I come from those showing up at the club, and they'd be like, yo, tonight is not hip hop night. I'm like, I know. You know,
I know.
I know.
I'm the DJ. They're like, are you sure?
Yeah. Dude, that's fucking wild.
You can't even imagine that shit now. It's like straight bro, it's straight up racism.
Yeah.
I hate to tell you, Chuckie, that shit is still here.
And I had to fight those kind of demons, bro.
Yeah.
You don't even, it's crazy. And then obviously Amsterdam, there was one club in Amsterdam that started embracing, that made hip hop for the hipsters. This is called Jamie Woo. And, you know, they started doing like, it was the only prestige, like really upscale club, and they had a hip hop night. So those kind of little moments helped.
Yeah.
Was it always like a side room if they did house and hip hop in one club? Was there a side room for one? No.
Side night.
Side night. They never mix it in one room.
Bro, if we would want to throw a hip hop party, you would get a Thursday or a Wednesday. Friday and Saturday is house.
Wow.
That's very interesting. I think I've just recently heard something about that too, where it's like hip hop. Like, I think it was a Jay-Z clip where Jay-Z was talking about the tour they did with DMX and everybody. He was like, that was the first real hip hop tour. Like, nobody was really touring.
Yeah.
So like, I guess
that the Hard Knock Life tour.
Yeah. He's like, there really wasn't any big tours like that back then. And so I guess it makes sense that, like, even in nightlife, the club is either a hip hop club or it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
You're lucky if the club does a night.
So there was no side room thing going on, bro.
No. Wow.
No.
Wow.
Side night.
Because I think in the States, like the raves and stuff would have a spare room.
Yeah.
There'd be two different vibes.
Even in the clubs too.
Even in the clubs too. Yeah.
I think, we've gathered from some older DJs in the 90s out here that they would have raves and then there would be like a side room at the rave.
And
But
the side room would be either ambient or trance. But the trance, as we know trance now, the trance back then was a whole different trance. It was literally trance music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like it almost had no beat. Like
very ambient.
Yeah, super ambient.
Yeah.
Those were the side rooms.
Yeah. Like rotary mixers.
Yeah.
Rotary mixers and
what plugs.
Yeah. Like literally playing synths live.
Yeah, but almost like more like a chill out kind of room, you know?
Yeah.
On drugs and just sitting in that next room.
Gets hitting a little too hard.
Yeah.
You're K-holing.
When did you notice that drug influence in Holland as far as the nightlife where you're like, okay, this rave shit is drugs first and then music second?
From the get-go.
From the jump. Yeah,
from the jump.
Because we talked to Greg Wilson and he was like, it wasn't until Ibiza till that really started to kick in. They were like, okay, these people are more interested in just raving than the fucking music.
Because the first, you got to understand that so it was always about strong graphics, right? And we all know the little yellow acid. So the first pills would even be like the acid pills, like the yellow pills with the smiley face on them. So it was,
damn, Nick.
From the start,
that life.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny that it's only the last 8 years, like people in hip hop parties do like drugs too.
Yeah, man.
That's actually I'm with you on that because I feel like until the 2000s, like the early 2000s,
even
hip hop was really just I mean, Beastie Boys talk about doing dust and stuff like that. Yeah. But like, I think on a cultural, like massive level, like doing like lean and pills and that kind of shit.
Exactly.
I guess
like,
it wasn't. We should say it got popular in later.
Like, why would you want to be tripping balls on the Ice Cube record?
Yeah, it's an angel
shit.
dust. They're trying to rob banks.
That's real shit. Yeah. So you come to the States. You come to the States and you come to Miami. And what was your initial reaction? Because you've heard about it, I think at this point, the mashup with your track and LMFAO had made its way to the States, where everyone knew who the fuck you were before you even walked in the room.
Yep,
that's a wild feeling, man.
It's the wildest feel. It's the wildest feeling. So I remember going to that very specific WMC, the Winter Music Conference. I had my list, like, I want to go see him. I want to go see him. I want to go see him. So I had on my list, I had David Guetta, Swedish House Mafia was new back then. And all their opening records was just that record. And I'm standing there looking at like, what the hell is going on? And the funny part is even before the Winter Music Conference, I was trying to get that record signed, but it was, to me, it was like a typical Dutch sound. So, obviously I wasn't successful in signing the record. And then, thank God somebody made it make sense, mashing it up, and, everybody was playing it. And I was, what the hell is going on? But luckily for me is that, guys like David Guetta, like when you're into pop music, you're always, and especially when you're a pop producer, you're always looking for the next big thing, right? So for Guetta, because I did a bunch of parties in Holland and Guetta saw me play. So when Guetta heard me or heard some of my early records, for him it makes sense. That One Love album he did back then, it was all Dutch inspired because he took that as an inspiration. So eventually that helped, because at the same time when that record finally caught on, I already had Mumba ready to go. You know what I'm saying? And all I need was like more mainstream success. That's where Guetta came. It all happened at the same time. That's where Guetta came, and he was like, yo, can you do me a remix, but it has to sound like Let the Bass Kick, or at least influence, take those drums, take those synths, put my vocals, whatever. And then I'm like, yeah, man, let's do it, you know. And I like I said, I kind of needed something like that to be happening at that very moment because I already had like a little buzz going.
Yeah.
And so he gave me the sexy bitch. He's like, yo, I'm working on this record with Akon. It's almost done, you know. I want you to do a remix. At the same time, I went to the States. I went to Vegas. I had to meet Little John um to work on some records because he was always like also upfront, very upfront. He's like, yo, I fuck with this sound, you know. Obviously he heard it through Diplo, and then somehow, some way we, eventually got some studio time, and we were in studio, and I was working on this David Guetta record, this remix. And I always wanted to do, because I felt like if I'm gonna do electronic music, first of all, it has to be my sound, like different. I don't want to sound like anybody else because it makes no sense. You got to add something to the table, you know. So I'm like, you know what? My approach, what I want to do like how hip hop would do a remix. If there's a hip hop record, then there's like a remix of the record. There's always like another rapper on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I wanted to do that same approach. I'm like, okay, what if I do a remix for David Guetta and I add another rapper on it, you know? And I was like, you know what? I always wanted to have like Lil Jon as a hype man. So my approach was like a hip hop remix, but on a house record. I want to say it's like the first remix, house remix with a rapper on it, you know, with that specific purpose. So I did, you know, it was the sexy bitch. So Akon, David Guetta and Akon, sexy bitch remix by Chuckie and Lil Jon. You know?
That's massive, yo.
Massive.
But it came from that hip hop mindset. Like that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I worked at the Win when that shit came out.
Yeah, and he was like, that's smart, Chuckie. And then he's like, I got another record with Estelle. You want to do that one too? I'm like, shit, how am I gonna top this record? So I call Fat Man Scoop, like, yo, you know, I got this record going.
Gotta do it again.
Are you kidding me? I love that record with Lil Jon, man. I love that remix. He's like, yo, let's do it. So I sent him the beat, you know. I said, all you got to do is this. He's like, send me the record. So he just sent me the stems. I'm like, yo, fuck with it. So I had another record with that same hip hop mindset. Like, yo, you know, another hip hop guy on a, we wouldn't even call it EDM back then. You know, but another guy
wasn't EDM yet.
Record yeah, exactly.
Dude.
So that was the whole approach. And it definitely helped. So at that point, when after Miami, literally all the record labels were calling me like, we need this record. I had no clue what the fuck was going on because I was trying to sign that record for the whole year and nobody wanted to sign it. After Miami, everybody wanted to sign it, you know? So I had that record going. Then I had the David Guetta remixes. At the same time, I had Moomba out, and Moomba also was like kind of a sound nobody heard before, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I took the, you know, let the bass kick kind of drums and then put that massive sound on it. But I also still wanted to, you know, show like, hey, we're from Holland. Our shit is different. So I called Afrojack, I called Sidney Sampson, I called Rehab, I called Hartwell. If you look at the remix list, that's no joke.
Unreal.
Yeah, it's no joke. So you know, I was happy to I don't want to say I opened the doors for them, but you know, it got some extra attention for people coming out of Holland.
Yeah.
So times were great, and I knew it got serious when, you know, Jimmy Iovine's on the phone and he's just calling you personally, you know, and I'm negotiating this deal with Jamie Iovine. I'm like, yeah, but it's crazy, you know, people just is sending you invitations to do sessions. At that point, you know, I had like Enrique Iglesias calling me personally, like, yo, I want that sound you did for David Guetta. I want a remix of that. As a matter of fact, get me two. Here's 2 songs. You know what I'm saying? So was it weird? Yes. Did I expect it? No. But, you know, the stars were aligned very well. And so it worked out. And I'm happy that it went this way because, you know, we all know what happened after. It just exploded.
Yeah.
When you were working with Lil Jon in Vegas, were you at the Win Studios?
No, at the what's up? Palm, the Palm?
Palm's Place. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the funny part, here's the funny part. So I get there because I have this, you know, I have a studio session with Lil Jon planned. I believe it was on a Friday or whatever. And I get there on a Thursday night, and my boy from Vegas, I believe I shared a video of it. My boy from Vegas, because he was also like, trying to get stuff to Vegas, and because he was like, I don't know, he wasn't even a talent buyer. He was just uh, a host or whatever. And he's like, yo, I can set it up. I get you a room at the Palms. All you got to do is, do this and that. Blah, blah. Go meet him. I even did like a short set at the XS back then for like 15 minutes. I did like my own version of open format in a Dutch way. And he said, listen, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to introduce you to these guys from Dre's. You're going to do the after hours. Do your Dutch thingy, whatever you do it in that room.
Your little Dutch thing.
Your little Dutch thing.
Yeah. And there's because this is my first experience playing in America. I'm in Vegas, some crazy club called Dre's, and I'm playing, and it was so crazy because even because Dre's had 2 rooms. One is a hip hop room, one's an electric room. And I started playing, and I brought my A game because it's my first time in America. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I didn't have a visa back then, but
we'll worry about that later.
I said 15 minutes. No, I didn't play actually. Never mind.
Never mind. So when I played, and it was so crazy, so people started throwing money. Like I collected like $4,000 or $5,000. People just throwing money in booth, and then it was so crazy. Apparently, I emptied the hip hop room. Everybody wanted to see what was happening in the next room. I was just straight up killing it. And then I see this guy walking in. It's Lil Jon walking in. And he's like, yo, what's this? He saw the energy was crazy. He's like, who are you? I said, yo, I'm Chuckie. Nice to meet you. He's like, oh, we have a session tomorrow. And then, So we started drinking that night. Shots, Lil Jon. So we started doing shots.
Mixing it with vodka.
Yeah, and then, bro, we got in the studio. I show up 11 a.m. He's in the studio, just half dead on the couch. Like he's like, "Fuck you, Chuckie. Fuck you, Chuckie. You brought it on yourself, bro." Yeah, and so we started working. We had like I think 3 days, and John, he was so hurt, so like it really crippled him. So 2 days he kicked his ass.
Kicked his ass.
So it's only the last 30 minutes on the 3rd day. I'm like, yo, but come on, bro. We got to do something.
That is so funny.
Yeah, because he couldn't get his ad-libs in, huh?
He couldn't get his ad-libs in.
He's like, what?
Yeah. And my dream was like, I'm like, yo, John, say this. He's like, yo, it's Lil Jon. I was, acting like I was him. It's that Dirty Dutch meets the motherfucking Dirty South. I know if I would take that to Holland, are you kidding me? I'm
set.
I'm set. Like, oh, he's Lil Jon's boy. Shit.
Yeah.
It's so sick.
Yeah, and he did ad libs and whatever. And then, when I got home, I got to finish the remix. And yeah, man. And then he even jumped on the Let the Bass Kick version I had with Jermaine Dupri. Also ad libs. And for me, somebody from Holland, you have a house record with Jermaine Dupri doing verses. Lil Jon, as the hype man on the record. Are you kidding me?
You're pivoting. Like that's like a pivotal moment, and like
definitely for me. I don't know about you. For me,
culturally though, like even still, like it's an era people talk about in
the Bloghouse era. This is in Bloghouse too.
You post. This is the post Bloghouse. This is the next where Bloghouse basically goes. Supernova. I worked at XS back in this era too, so I was in the club while it was happening. Watching it turn into this fucking massive thing. So it goes from like the Mastercrafts, Crystal Castles era into the fucking Chuckie era, the Dirty Dutch era, where I'm watching Chuckie, Afrojack, and you guys turn this grimy house into fucking songs with Lil Jon and Pitbull and whoever the fuck, like Enrique Iglesias.
Here's the crazy part. The Dirty Dutch sound was 2003 though, right?
Yeah, original
Dirty Dutch,
yeah, because listen, bro, we couldn't play synths for shit. So I would sample whatever, and whatever would make sense in a sequence. I'm like, okay, all I need is like 808s on it and a hard ass stand. That's the record. And we would play them as DJ tools. That's it. Yeah, we played them as DJ tools, and then this guy from Germany, the Roman Flugel, he produced this record called Gates Nog. That I think that record came out in 2003, and he had like a his pitch bending with the bleepy sound. It made sense, you know. And that record was so big, and we all were like, you see, this is the sound. So kind of took that pitch bending style from him and made it eventually made it work for us.
That's fine.
Yeah, and it's only because there was like a gap in music. Like I wanted to play a sound, but there were no records that would represent that sound. So we had to make it ourselves. We had to make them. So we would do bootlegs, whatever, and then introduce the bleeps in it. Like Laid Back Luke was doing his thing. So the sound was kind of shaping up. And when IDT called me, because they had this compilation for this Sensation event, and Sensation would sell like 40,000 CDs in Europe. I'm like, okay, they asked me for this record, like for a record for the compilation. And I'm like, okay, this is my opportunity. And why is it my opportunity? Because it's the only time you're probably going to get a chance to be on a compilation that's going to sell 40,000 copies. And it's going to be all over Europe. So what are you going to do? Are you going to try to sound like the rest of the CD? Or you take his moment? Because you're going to be in the CD anyway. They want to.
Regardless, yeah.
Or I'm going to try to make something that represents what we are doing in Holland, you know? And the original version of Let the Bass Kick was on that compilation. And I'm talking about if let me see, if Winter Music Conference was in March 2009, 2009, this record came out in July 2008.
Wow.
So July 2008 up until March, I could not sign that record nowhere. But at least the record was already, you know,
had some legs.
It was out, you know. And one Italian label signed it, and they were like, yeah, let's do a run of 500 copies vinyl. And you know, nothing happened until Winter Music Conference. But it was definitely before the whole Blughouse thing, man.
Yeah. Dude,
what?
Yeah.
That's so fucking nuts, because the entry point for the States was Let the Bass Kick, and then it was everything slowly after that, where we worked our way backwards through your catalog. We started there, and then we're playing catch up, where you're like, dude, I've been killing it, you know, like let's go back. And I think it was attributed to the blogs, of course, because people did more research on you, and they were like, oh, Chuckie's got a catalog. He's got, because how many years in the game were you at that point?
If you want to say what, 2008? So I started, I don't know, 95, but you know, I only started shaping the sound early 2000s.
Yeah.
You know? And like anything before the 2000s, it just had the drums, but not the synth. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But also what's very interesting is when Samir's team came out, those records had this kind of the same energy-ish as the Dutch house records. So that's why like Samir's team is literally a Dutch classic as well. Like, you know, definitely played for sets. So that's where I find, hey, it started to blend, and those records would make sense. And then there were like a lot of Baltimore records that would also make sense in our sets, because they also had those raw sampled trumpets or whatever, you know. And it was also 128 BPM, also had 808s, hard snares, stuff like that. So that's where I would say those worlds would collide.
Would you say that Beat Roots and Aoki Warp 1.9, that's your sound, basically? That's that Dutch sound?
I don't want to say it was that Dutch sound, but it definitely had that energy, because it's hard to find records to play after that Dutch sound, you know? Especially back then. And then, you know, there was like a lot of electro music out as well. And some of those records would resonate, but a lot of them didn't make sense in the sets. And then, you know, obviously the sounds got harder and harder in the States as well. So, you know, we started to blend more of those records, whatever was popular in the States. And, you know, it became like more like a 50-50 balance at some point, because we also had to kill it in the States. And you want to play something they know, you know, you want to with something you have, and then, you know, eventually it kind of balanced out nice. Yeah,
I want to ask you about two different movements. First, I want to hear your response to when dubstep broke. What was your initial thought to that kind of sound?
Sounded like two robots fucking. No. First place, I was like, "What the hell is going on?" But then I started to break it down from, let's say, producer standpoint. I'm like, okay, but this is some heavy ass sound designing, bro.
Yeah.
And also back then, I think I was about to sign to Atlantic Records, and then at the same time they just signed Skrillex. What's that first album called?
Scary Monsters.
Yeah, Scary Monsters.
Yeah.
And I was listening to sound designing. I'm like, this guy is no fucking joke.
Right.
And to me, dubstep, I was listening to a lot of Skrillex stuff, but I wasn't really paying attention to the rest. Some records would stand out, but I was like, okay, but it's it's a whole different energy. And eventually, I was already touring a lot in the States, and that that movement grew so fast. It kind of overshadowed everything, which is cool for me. But I was like, what the hell is going on? And I was only cool with it because it kind of had like half tempo of drum and bass.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was kind of fucking with it as well, and obviously it had some that dirty south bounce because still like 150 BPM, 154, something like that. So I had the opportunity or the chance to meet Skrillex in person because we did like a tour. I think it's Australia. Yeah, we were on tour in Australia. I got to know him, but also his whole process of producing and the way he was thinking, like he just don't want to be put in a box, and and I was always cool with that because me growing up, that's why I really appreciate the UK, because the UK was like they were fucking with all kinds of different BPMs, and garage or like the dubstep or like grime, drum and bass, or even the UK hip hop. It always had some weird ass BPM, and so I was kind of eventually I was cool with it.
Yeah. Now, how about the Moombahton movement? What was your initial thoughts to that?
I was surprised because I'm like, yeah, but we've been doing this. Like, we already, but so obviously, they kind of, I want to say they made it official, but we've been on those drums because, like I said, we were influenced in Holland. We were influenced by the 90s dancehall, and the 90s, one of the most important records, like how in drum and bass, one of the most important records is like the Almond Break. So in dance in Holland, when we started to sample drums from dancehall records, Murder She Wrote is one of the most important records because those drums, like we still use them in like the Moomba version of Afrojack has that snare from Murder She Wrote.
Right.
So all they did is basically pitch down the record, and there, and I was like, I fuck with it because it has that. It's super open format. Only now it's an official record in an open, with an open format mindset. So you have the Latin rhythms, but you also have that electronic touch of the whatever kind of synths. So I was really happy with it, and I was super flattered because if I did not name that record Moomba, I don't even know what they would have called the whole genre. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know if you guys know how I came up with the name Moomba. I had the record Moomba, one I made, and I had it fresh out of my computer, and it had no title yet. Normally, you always have like a working title for a track, right? It was called 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever, and I'm in Aruba. I had to do this gig. I'm in Aruba. And I played that record that night, and the record went absolutely bananas. And I was playing at this beach club called Moomba.
Oh, it's still there.
Yeah, it's still there.
That's funny.
yeah. So I took that name, I added an H to it. So Moomba, I'm like, oh, that's a catchy name, And so I named it Moomba, and then Afrojack made the remix, and then Dave Nada pitched down. I'm super cool because we could definitely play that sound in Holland because of the Latin rhythm. Back then it was like what 110 BPM, something like that.
Yeah.
So I was cool with it. Like anything different from whatever was already hot in the States, this would take me back to, like let's say my comfort zone. I'm like, I'll fuck with it. Yeah.
This is where I live. This is my thing.
Now,
Yeah,
are you on Afro beats and I'm a piano right now too?
I fuck with it. I love it. But I'm like, I don't need to have all whatever's up. I don't need to be really up to date with those records because I don't feel like, hey, I don't want to become all of a sudden 50% of my sets are like full of Afro beats and, like I'm a piano. I love the style, but I've been messing around with African music, if I want to call it like that. If you look at my catalog, Dirty Dutch, I signed this African record, Mugwanti. You can look it up in and this is I'm talking 2010. You know what I'm saying? Because those rhythms always, I was always like, yeah, I fuck with it. It's cool. But now all of a sudden everybody, jumping on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
I think we've all been there before, like seeing people jump on a bandwagon and all of a sudden they're like the biggest piano DJ, or they want to pretend like they've always been the biggest piano DJ. Like, please, you know what I'm saying? I've all seen that happen. I've seen, to be honest, I feel that even happened with dubstep.
Oh yeah,
a lot of everything else, and they're like, I'm a dubstep DJ.
Yeah,
cool for you, bro.
And then trap, and then they all
moved to trap. It's happening right now with Jersey.
Yeah, exactly. Jersey.
Yeah.
So I feel like, yes, I do play it in my sets, and yes, I feel like, hey, I should make, like, if I would make a house record, I want to use some of those elements, but I don't feel I want to do a full piano set. Can I do it? Yes, I can do it, but anybody can do it with a computer, because you could literally download the top 20 or top 30 and then do it in the set.
Call it a day.
I don't have that, but with house it was different. Like when I was still like considered a hip-hop DJ or open format DJ, I really felt like, okay, but I could definitely do a house set, because I just loved house music already, and the reason why I fell in love with house, because of the groove and it's a journey, stuff like that. So I really felt like, oh yeah, I definitely want to do one of those long sets as well. I don't have that same feeling with I'm a piano or Afro.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And to be honest, it sounds, I don't even want to say it sounds weird to say this, but it's gonna get adopted by the States. There's gonna be tons of open format versions.
Yep.
And that's exactly the end of the
it's already
that's where we're at right now.
Happening. Like this,
we're there right now.
Google Rihanna I'm a Piano remix, there's a bunch of them. You know what I'm saying?
Got fucking 21 Savage on Afrobeat songs. It's already there. It's getting there. It'll be there.
It's there right now. We're at that.
I think people are already like wondering like if it's played.
But that's what I'm saying. It's there right now. We're at the summer peak.
There's those movements though, and we've talked about that before. Everyone wanted to sound like Jaws. When Jaws dropped and created his sound, everyone's like, that's my sound too. I'm going to sound like Jaws.
Yep.
And then everyone wanted to sound Big Room. So
everybody,
all these people.
Chami, same thing. Chami, everybody.
Chami. Yeah.
Because he was personally, I think he was responsible for the whole Future House or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah.
Sound
100%. 100%.
But Oliver Heldens came after him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then all of that sound. So like you were saying, they want to sound like Jaws, or in this, Chami.
And then it was K Tronada, and they chewed up that sound as much as possible. And now
it's still here with the K Tronada, but now Afrobeats,
yeah. Because everyone wanted to sound like Selection. They wanted to have that sound where it's like we're all doing the Future House or whatever, or Future Beats or whatever.
Future Beats.
Yeah. And it's these movements that everyone just pivots to it. And we've talked about it before. No one is building a lineup and saying, I need 5 guys that sound like Jaws.
Right.
They're like, I'll just hire Jaws. That's it, and call it a day.
Yeah.
But after it gets so diluted and everyone jumps on that, then people are like, I got to find a new sound. I got to find a new sound.
And I believe Afro came at the right time, like as a new sound.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to like downplay it, because I do think it's
Not at all. It's great music.
it's great music, but it's also just like a lot of other genres. Once you figure out the fundamentals of it, it's kind of easy to replicate.
Oh yeah.
And
that's what we're seeing right now.
Everybody's just replicating the sounds, the loop. And once it's incredible when the person who invented it does it. Yeah. And then when everybody else just does it, it's just like we all figure out it's very easy, and now it's played, and it kind of takes away the luster.
It got to a point where you will probably only play like a mashup Amapiano record with some,
which boy do we.
You can't even play like a real new fresh Amapiano record no more, because it's at that point.
And it's not even like it's strictly Amapiano. This happened. We just named a bunch of things.
Right.
It happens all the time.
Right. I'm just talking recent.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I feel sorry for trap, because I really fuck with trap. Like, not that I didn't want to become a trap DJ, but I really like that sound. It was really cool, energetic. It had that hip hop attitude, and then I don't know, overplayed it or whatever we did, but it's not there anymore. Yeah, it's just not there anymore.
Right. Chuckie, why
Nobody's
did hardstyle? I gotta ask, why did hardstyle never blow up in the States? What do you think it is?
Good question.
Why did hardstyle? Because I think, and they tried it in Holland. When you look at Q dance, it's almost like a religion, and people grew up with that shit, like really grew up. They got the t-shirts, they got the tats, everything. And I think in America, first of all, they could not produce this. They could not do the same production, because in Holland they go all out. First of all, they produce the whole stage in Holland, and it's there, and it looks absolutely amazing. And you guys, I think you guys already had, let's say, I don't want to say your own version of hardstyle, but you guys had DJs and a sound that would kind of already cover that sonically, that music. You know what I'm saying? And I think, to be honest, because Insomniac would not allow Q Dance to really do their thing, they could not really bring their stars and their DJs and bring the full experience. I think it got to a point where Insomniac was like, you know what, we got this.
Gotcha.
Because it blew up in, for example, Australia,
right?
Or even in Europe, like a place like Austria, but not in the States, because simply they did not get their break from important players like Insomniac.
Because those guys are like Calvin Harris. Like those names hold that same weight in Europe and in these other countries. And
100%. Like we had Headhunters. And
Headhunters.
Me personally got him that Cascade remix he did.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. Because Willem Headhunters is a really good friend of mine, and we had it. I got him on the same management as my management, and like we gotta see how we break him in America. So and I was cool with Cascade, because back then I was doing a tour. Cascade was at a tour, so I'm like, this guy, because Headhunters, like sound design, he's a beast. He's, let's say, the Skrillex of hardstyle. Like this guy's insane. So when we got him the Cascade vocals, he did his thing, and it definitely worked, and it was something he could tour with in America, but it was hard to follow up because there was politics involved, and I feel like Insomniac was like, what, we got this. There were like a lot of DJs that would play, I don't know what you guys call it, I think it was hard dance or whatever, but it had that BPM.
Yeah, hard dance freestyle, right? No?
Yeah, so they basically got it covered. They had it covered.
Yeah.
It's like somebody, it's like, imagine if somebody in 2008 would say like, hey, don't worry, we got our own version of Dirty Dutch. We're just doing our thing in America.
It's crazy.
Wild. Like, to just like
crazy.
I feel like that happened with hardstyle.
They said, we got hardstyle at home. You're like, no, not quite.
Don't need to go to McDonald's. We got hardstyle at home.
Dude, fucking wild. I mean, you guys, you do festivals to the nth degree. And tomorrow, was it Tomorrow World or Tomorrowland? Whichever one's out there.
Tomorrowland.
And the funny part is, the funny part is Tomorrowland, so when they started in Belgium, it was called Mysteryland because Mysteryland is the original party. We still have, matter of fact, Mysteryland was this past weekend. And it's only because somebody already had the name Mysteryland in Belgium. So they had to find another name. So they called it Tomorrowland.
Damn.
And that's, yeah.
And Sensation is the big one for you guys as well.
Yeah. And Sensation. So, and the funny part is, not a lot of people know this, but so in Identity, Q Dance, the hard style division, they were actually the producers of all the shows because they know they had the crazy productions and stuff. So they knew their way around. So they started to produce all the events for Identity. And so they were also involved in producing Tomorrowland. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So we were playing catch up essentially with everything that's going on in the States based upon what you guys were doing in dance music.
Well, I think that's, and there's nothing, because I don't want to sound like weird or anything, but I like it. So in the States, people are like, oh, I like that sound, I'm gonna make it my own and do my own thing. And I think it's cool because that's why I like guys like Dioro. I'm a big Dioro fan because he took the Dutch sound and made it his own, but with his background. Obviously he's a Latino, so he had that swing, he had the vibe, and he made his own thing, and he made hits with it as well. So there's a different outcome with this one. It definitely helped blowing up that dirty Dutch sound with guys like Dioro doing the records, even Diplo, or like, hey, I like that kind of synth, let's do this. But it didn't happen with hardstyle.
yeah For some reason that never caught on, but all this big room house sound is coming back full circle. I've noticed, like, there's these golden age parties of 2010s house, big room house, that you can play anything, the Sia song, like, Titanium and all of that, and it's like the biggest song all over again.
Exactly. And I think it's cool because music always does that. It might have a slight different beat, but I think it's cool. So we are just running the 2010 catalog again, I guess. 2010, 2013. Which is cool, because because EDM became like a dirty word.
Right.
But now, and then, it's a matter of time, hipsters gonna embrace it, and all of a sudden it's the coolest thing in the world again. Same thing is happening with vinyl. I was in LA last month, and I called my boy, like, yo, I want to go record shopping, but I want to buy, bring me to the stores where they sell like $1 records. He's like, bro, that's not gonna happen. I'm like, what happened? Like, yo, everybody is on vinyl. And he's like, yo, you don't even understand how many new record stores we got in LA. I'm like, oh, word? So I go to one of these record stores and I'm like, oh shit, it's literally $15 for a 12-inch. I'm like, oh shit, what's going on? I have a sealed copy of the Wet Ass Pussy from Cardi B and what's her name, Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan, yeah.
Bought it for $15. I'm like, shit, bro.
Nothing. So, the dollar bin is over.
The dollar bin is over. But for me, so now it became a sport because I want. What I'm looking for, anything between 2006 and 2010, whatever they still pressed on vinyl. Like, I really want, I hope, I don't even think, I think there is a Tyga, Rack City, 12-inch, stuff like that.
Yes. Hell yeah.
That's the sport for me. Like, I have, for example, Too Short, Blow the Whistle on 12-inch. I'm looking in that era for
the hits. Yeah.
Because back then, I don't want to say, I stopped buying records. I was still collecting a little bit, but I wasn't buying heavy anymore, So I have a little gap in my collection, but now obviously Discogs, so I got everything back again. But for me, that's the sport, man.
Are you're a Discogs person or you're a find it in the wild person?
Oh no, listen, I hate going to these record fairs.
Okay.
Big ass halls, 1 billion records, I can't find shit.
Yeah.
And then what's funny is that you only see records, just albums.
Yeah.
I need 12 inches, you know,
Yeah.
I need 12
Yeah.
inches, and I need it from that era, specific era. So
Yeah.
I'd rather, matter of fact, I'm the cheapest guy in the world when it comes to finding records. Discogs, I have my ways, bro. I go, so there's this one, this is a little trick. There's this one account called vinyl.eu. So I'll go on that account. I want to go in their catalog. Obviously, they got 1 billion records too in their catalog. And I'll go look for, so I type in rap or hip hop, and I'll sort it on cheapest first. So I'll buy whatever for like 20 cents, bro.
Like, what do you got for less than $1?
Yeah.
Bro, I got Teddy Riley records for 20 cents and shit. Like Stevie Wonder Master Blaster for 80 cents. Shit like
Damn.
that. Yeah, man.
I mean, that's cool. That's the way to do it, Loki.
Yeah, but also it got, you know, it gave me the opportunity to buy doubles again, you know, like some records I gave away are simply scratched or like just worn out. I'm like, yo, let me just buy it from this guy. So, you know, it's really cool, and it's fun. It's fun because it kind of, I want to say at a certain point, I was so consumed by whatever I was doing and the whole industry. I think I wasn't even DJing for fun anymore. It was just straight up about money and, you know, presence in the market. And I felt like, nah, man, this is not why I started DJing, you know? So doing all this stuff with vinyl, you know, I feel like, you know, I just started all over again. It's so interesting. And then also now we got more knowledge, and, you know, we got a greater catalog to play with. Like, so back then I would never do the work a cappella for masters. I'd work with the Samir Steam, for example. Now I can, you know what I'm saying? Because those records, when work came out, Samir Steam wasn't out. Now I can, you know what I'm saying? So it's interesting. It's interesting to do those kind of events again. It's crazy, man.
You got to keep it fresh for you. You know, you got to keep it fun for you, or else it's a long fucking night, man. You know, like at the end of the day, you got to find that fun in the room, even if you're playing to the 2 people dancing and the other 50 are like looking around like, I think he's playing records, but I don't know what's going on, you know?
At a certain point, I was just bored with main stage, playing main stage. It sounds like, oh, what is fucking, this guy's crazy. What are you talking about? Being bored on main stage. But it was really like that. What happened is that back in the days, and when I talk about back in the days, I'm like, when I first got into big festivals like Mysteryland, Tomorrowland, there would be like maybe 4 or 5 DJs throughout the whole day playing. So means everybody would play like a 3-hour set, right? And at a certain point, obviously they had to bring in numbers, so a lot of people. So they would have like 20 guys on the main stage throughout the whole day, meaning everybody would get like 45 minutes. I played, my shortest set on EDC was a 45-minute set. What happens if you get 45 minutes on the main stage? You want to squeeze as much as possible in that 40. So what happens is that even my way of producing records, like I would cut out anything after drop. You would like normally, you know, build like a breakdown and go slowly into the break. Now I would cut out those 30 seconds straight away and make my record short. But also it would be like all mashups, because you just want to squeeze in as much energy as possible in a 45-minute set. So, for example, in 2010 or 2011, whatever, I have a Nirvana mashup. 2012, I have a Nirvana mashup as well with a different drop.
Right.
Happens in 2013 again and 14 again, you know, and it got to that point where everybody was doing that stuff. Like, oh, you know, next year I'll just have the same record, same classic, whatever, new drop. And to me, it's like, okay, yeah, this is not really what. No, it doesn't trigger me. I don't want to do this shit.
Yeah.
I want to say I kind of stepped away from it because at the same time, there was like a lot of politics involved. Like, wait, my DJ has to, management would fight each other. Like, no, my DJ has a bigger record, so he should play that time slot. And I always told my manager, like, we don't even have to be part of this rat race, man. I just don't want to do it, you know? Next to the and then the only way I was still having fun is because Vegas would allow me, even more doing open format sets.
Sure.
You know, I had a residency in Vegas from 2000, I want to say 2009, almost 2009, 2010, up until 2018. That's a long residency. And the only reason I was doing that because I was also able to play for the Vegas crowd, which is like super open format. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I had my own ways of delivering my sets, and they would fuck with it. So I was happy doing that. And that kind of kept me floating and kept it interesting for me playing in the States. At this point, I was looking at sets the other day of EDC main stage, and I'm like, I don't feel like I want to play here. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I wanted to go back to the reason why I started doing this shit. This is why I have so much fun in doing like small club settings, but also final sets. You know what I'm saying? It's the only way I can have fun with it and even discover new sounds. You know, even when I produce music now, if I play records I've made only this week, there's nothing that would sound commercial. It's just me just messing around with sounds, and that's how I even came up with, you know, the Dirty Dutch sound by me just being in the studio, locked up, not thinking about anything else. Like, oh, I gotta please this and I gotta make this. It's just me just fiddling around with sounds, and you know, that's why I said like I kind of lost that passion, and then now I'm like, fuck everything. I'll just do whatever I want to do. And I'm at that point right now.
We've mentioned before that the art of the opening DJ is lost, that the art of building the room is lost.
Yeah. Because everybody want to become a superstar overnight. Simple as it is.
Right. And you know, the people,
or even the filler, sorry, Colin, even the filler DJ. So you got the DJ that's filling in between the other DJs that's on the bill.
Yeah,
there's art to that because you're setting up that next DJ.
The middleman too, you know, direct support for the headliner.
Absolutely.
The guy after the opener, because the opener is playing for the barbacks and the VIP staff and the managers. So he's got to start the room at the right way. And then there's usually somebody after him because we're doing like 4 people on a lineup now, you know? Chuckie, do you miss those nights of opening, those early nights of DJing where you set the tone for the whole night?
Yes. And at a certain point, I only started taking gigs in, for example, LA. And I said, listen, I only want to do it if I do an open to close set, because otherwise it makes no sense, you know? I want to build the night, and I also want to feel like I want to bring different sounds. So I want to do, so yes, definitely miss those, because there's nothing more boring than just come to a club, the party's already popping, and you play the expected 20 records you're supposed to be playing, and that's it. You know, there's no room for creativity or new sounds. So I definitely miss it, but I also miss it at festivals. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just 5 headliners just playing their set. It's madness, and that's what I said earlier. Like, we would have like 4 or 5 DJs doing the main stage throughout the whole day. You know, I would definitely miss that. And like I said, you know, everybody want to become that headliner, of course, because of social media. Even warm-up DJ. Matter of fact, the funny part is that my first show in Miami, big show at Live, Let the Bass Geeks, massive at that point. And I have to start my set. So I'm in the back chilling. Then this DJ before me, the warm-up DJ, not even the warm-up DJ, the in-between DJ, I don't know what got into his head, and he decided to do like a homage to me, to Chuckie. Bro, in his last 15 minutes, he played all my big records. Yeah, man. And, you know, owner Dave Grutman, he was like, even he understood, like, this is wrong. That dude got fired that same night.
Like, here, let me impress him.
How? Yeah, exactly.
He said, "We got Chuckie at home."
We got Chuckie at home. No, listen, I don't mind if he's like, okay, you know what? We got Chuckie playing, and it's not even about me. It's about, this happened to a lot of other artists as well. Okay, so we got Chuckie. okay, let me play something that sounds Dirty Dutch-ish,
Right.
and that lead into his set, you know?
Yeah.
None of that, bro. he just went straight up for the Chucky.
I'm gonna play Chucky.
Wow.
And then I walk into the booth, the guy's like, and he looks up to me like, yo. I'm like, man.
It works.
No shit, Sherlock Holmes.
He's all, hey, wait till you see what I do right here.
Yeah.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
Take notes, buddy. Take notes.
This is how you play Dutch.
This is how you play Dutch music.
Nah,
Have you heard this track yet?
no, but I believe that people don't take that spot serious anymore, and it's I think it's still the most important set, you know, that warm up set for even the headliner to really stand out. If you do the warm up properly, the headliner will even stand out more. You know, you don't have to bore the people to death. There's so much good music to play before the head. Because the people won't go anywhere anyway. They're waiting for the headliner. So you have them on the dance floor. Take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Everyone thinks they got to play ASAP Ferg Work, and then they got to play Pet Boss, and then they got to play all of these songs that it's like mandatory. They're like, oh, well, you know, the headliner's just going to play the headliner songs. It's like you have such a big toolbox of tools to work with. Why wouldn't you play something they don't know? You know, like you're not going to lose your night. You're literally leaving headroom for the next guy. That's your job. That's what you showed up to do.
There's that sweet spot of like not playing an hour and a half of music people don't know.
Yep.
Of course.
But there's also like, you could throw some shit in and you could also play some shit people forgot about. Like there's so many turns you could take to play the headliner's music is insane.
I had so the way David Guetta and I became friends, and he actually flew me to Ibiza for my first show with him, is because he was headlining in Holland this set, and I had the set before him. And I know he didn't know none of those Dutch records. So my toolbox was amazing because I know I could play my set, and you know, there's enough headroom for him to play. And then he saw me play after my set. So right before he got on, I was like, yo, I gotta talk to you in a minute. You know, after my set, I'm gonna talk to you.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And then we had another show the next day together. And he was so impressed by the set, and not necessarily about the set, but the music I played, because it was all new sounds to him.
Yeah.
David Guetta, and you can ask him if it's true or not. He brings out his camera and he films my whole set while I was playing before him. He films my whole set, and he only filmed it because the next day he was like, yo, what's this record? What's this record? But I was still playing, you know, I was still the warm-up guy, but still was able to kill it, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't play any Guetta records, or not even a Bob Sinclair record. They're from the same country, so you know, chances are he might play a Bob Sinclair record. Yeah, I wasn't touching none of that. I was doing my thing, and I think at that point, I think the most important, the key word here is to deliver certain energy. And like you were saying, there's like a sweet spot. So I think you could still do it with all new records, but still, you know, touch that energy level you need to touch right before the headliner. Of course, you don't want to wear them out, but
stay true to yourself. Stay authentic. You know,
there's many ways, but I don't think people appreciate that role no more. Which, too bad.
It's interesting because it's like, it seems so counterintuitive. Like you get an opening spot, and instead of thinking, all right, cool, I need to build the club up and then get everybody ready. So like, you know, maybe not bring the energy level to a 9 or a 10, but maybe get it to an 8. So that way, when they get there, you know, they can knock the fucking doors off. But people think, oh, it's audition time.
Oh, all day. He might take, the headliner might take me on tour with him.
He might take tour. Or like thinking that the fucking headliner DJ somehow is gonna book you, like he's a booker.
Yeah.
But
or
fam,
like
you're there already. Your name's on the bill.
Do your part. Like, so
just play.
I don't like when people get into audition mode and do shit like that, because it's like you think you're helping yourself out, but really you're just hurting yourself and everybody else that's on the bill.
Yeah, man, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
But that I feel like that's just a young man.
Yeah. But also, you know, and I just gotta blame social media for it, man. There's like a mandatory set of pictures that you have to post after the weekend. There's the handstand one. There's the one standing at the booth. There's a little interaction with the camera, like
Behind you, looking at the crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's also the mandatory things you gotta say through the mic, like, "Oh my God, Houston, I love you so much." No, you don't, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I don't know y'all.
You don't know these people.
Houston, who the fuck are you guys? Thanks for coming out to see
but
me.
that obviously, you know, people like, oh, I want to become that DJ. I want to post cool pictures too. I want to eventually. So that's the first step of, like, you know, I want to post those kind of pictures. And then obviously the next level is you want to post the private jets. You want to post a picture at the airport, like, oh, I'm so tired of touring. Stuff like that. and then the next one is like your first time in Mexico, been to Mexico once, all of a sudden your whole post is in Spanish. Like, you know,
yeah. It's paint by numbers, man.
Yeah, so people want to do that, and obviously the art gets lost.
Right.
And I think for me, you know, I was like, no, I don't want to become that dude, because I got tired of posting those kind of pictures real quick as well. And like, even now, we live in an area, like, most of the DJs, to stay relevant, how come all of a sudden everybody's a fucking comedian?
Right.
Doing skits on like TikTok, bro? No, no, please.
You're not gonna catch Chuckie doing stand up on TikTok.
No.
or doing a synchronized dance on TikTok to let the bass kick,
or lip syncing to TikTok to hit.
So yeah, that art gets lost, and I feel that happened to the warm-up sets, you know. Like, and now it's even crazier. People, I don't know what happened, but people leave the club after the headliner. Let's say the night is, even if the party is over, like the club is open till 5, headliners done at 3, people just leave, bro.
Bounce.
Like, you guys don't want to dance anymore?
That's it.
Club culture is different, man. Like, in that regard, I think that's, it's because now there's been a generation. The people who came out, you know, to see the Dirty Dutch stuff back when it first started, and like the 2012, 2013, they've had kids.
Oh yeah.
And now their kids are coming to the club, and they're taking a festival approach to night clubbing.
Nightclub.
They saw who they wanted to see, and they're off to the next stage. Or whatever. You know, and it's like, no, this is an experience. Like, this is, honestly, you don't even need, it doesn't matter who the fuck's up there. You should just be jamming. But
but it's definitely different. It's definitely a different era. Listen, when we all first started, you know, doing our Twitter thing, what year is this? 2012, something like that?
Yeah.
2012, right? So you gotta understand, like I grew my fan base in that era, and I want to call it an era because it's an era, very important.
It was,
too. Right. So my first 350,000 followers I got within those 2 years. So anything between 2012 and 2014, I gained 350,000 followers. I had a lot of interaction. Engagement was crazy. You know, bro, those people, they don't even have a Twitter account no more. You know? So I'm sitting on, let's say, 100,000 people. I post something, and like the interaction engagement is the same, man.
You gotta pay for it now. What you had, you know, like that big reach. That's $500 for a post. You know,
which is absolutely crazy. And like I said before, it's crazy that he said, you know, club culture, the nightlife, everything changed. And you know, when I had that reality check, I had the show with Calvin Harris. It's so embarrassing. I had the show with Calvin Harris, and obviously I think Rehab was signed to him. So my agency goes like, yo, you know, Rehab is gonna do the warm up, and Rehab had some big records, but he's not no Calvin Harris, but he had big records. He was doing the warm up, so my management's like, yo, he's gonna do the warm up. Then Calvin Harris goes on, and then you close the night. I'm like, oh shit, that's an important slot, you know. We're in Austria, big ass venue, like 20,000 people. And it's like almost like party. I think the party would end like midnight or whatever. Yeah, midnight, somewhere midnight. So rehab goes on like, I don't know, 8 or 9, something like that. He plays for 1 hour. Room is absolutely packed. Calvin Harris goes on, does his thing. Obviously, everybody goes wild. But I'm telling you, like, there's old people, young people, all ages, just enjoying the Calvin Harris show. I'm like, oh fuck, and I'm pretty confident about my skills and my abilities. I'm like, oh, I'm
about to fuck it up.
Yeah.
tear it up. What are you talking about? I don't care about no rehab with warm. I got this,
Yeah,
bro. 15 minutes into my set, 20,000 people just left.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. So they drag it for another 50 minutes. They're like, yo, somebody from production called me like, yo.
hey, we're done. We're having it up.
Roll it up.
The
guy was like literally, yo, Chuckie, he was rapping.
He's
like,
rapping.
Yo.
You turn down your booth monitors. You realize it's off.
And then the guy, obviously, floor around me, like booming.
Oh man, how long have I been playing to myself? Take off your in-ears. There's nothing.
Yo.
I swear, I was 14 minutes in.
Dude.
How can 20,000 people leave in like 14 minutes, bro? That's when I know, like, so they really just come for the headline and that's it. You know what I'm saying?
I just played a massive out here, and I don't want to say who was on the bill, but the same thing happened where the headliner they booked it weird because the warm up before the headliner had a bigger crowd.
Oh, okay.
And everybody left for the headliner.
That's why you don't really look at what's really the hype and shit.
Right.
It's not real life because people get their video and then they'll roll out.
Yeah.
Like I took my clip.
The thing is, so when I noticed that a lot when I was also doing like a lot of shows throughout America. And I was always a promoter myself, so I knew it's important to have the people as long as possible in that space. That's when I started to do like longer sets, and the DJ after me would never play because I would just go on. I would play from 1 to 3, but the club is open till 5. I'll play till 4:30 at least, 4:45. If I get drunk, it's gonna be a 6 a.m. thing, But I knew if I would play longer, people would stay in, and eventually the club owner would appreciate the numbers, because obviously I'm still in the club drinking, and it also gave me the opportunity to do longer sets, because I know it happened a lot of times. I would just stop my set, my 90-minute set or whatever. I'd leave, and then just all of a sudden
it's over.
Right.
Just go to a pizza spot, whatever.
As a busser at Excess, I appreciate those nights, my man.
Man, but you know what I'm talking
about. Made more money because you were doing it.
Yeah, but that's exactly what it is, And I feel like that whole synergy got lost because it's a game you all play together. It's like because you can also not
it's an ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly. That whole ecosystem should work, and I know as a promoter, I cannot play like 2 hours, like just high energy. You gotta build in like little breaks. Like even people want to have a smoke break, for example, or people have the opportunity to get another drink.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So even when I was doing my headlining sets, I would go up and down and on purpose. And I feel like right now, headliner comes and he does a 60-minute set and he's done.
You know what my pet peeve is that when they say goodbye.
Oh, that's the worst. Yeah, man, that's the worst. And I don't know if you guys ever experienced this, but I had a lot of times that the guy would end his set and the promoter or the stage manager would be like, yo, the next DJ is late. Can you play for 15 more minutes? And then the guy goes, I don't have enough music because he literally has a fucking... And that's it on his USB, bro. I have my whole catalog on my shit. You know what I'm saying? I play with an SSD. I make sure I have enough music. And there's a lot of guys that just do their set and that's it.
That's crazy to me. That's nuts to me. And maybe it's just because we're working guys, like we're out here playing gigs all the time.
It's not an option. For
not an option.
Working DJ, that's never an option because of the twists and turns. You don't know what's going to happen.
So and it's just because some big name DJs never had to do that. They're producers that became DJs.
Exactly.
And so they just have their sets, and they've never had to build a library. They never had to play 4-hour sets, 5-hour sets.
They don't download all the promos every week.
They're not,
like
yeah, they're not getting all the promos every week and all that stuff. Like they're not having to do that.
But people back in the days would come for, damn, I sound old. But people back in the days, no, but people back in the days would come, for a DJ set and play good music. And now you come to see a DJ because you know his records.
Yeah.
And that's all you want to hear or something. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I believe at a certain point, the crowd would find it weird if, let's say, Swedish House Mafia would play Diplo record, because why would you play somebody else, someone else's record?
Yeah, you hear it all the time. You hear, and dance music fans are the snobbiest.
Yeah.
They know every subgenre. They know everybody's like, oh, he played this, because they'll start explaining DJs before the DJ ever explains themselves. Oh, he's playing this because, or oh, he went a different direction. I don't know why he would play somebody else's music.
Yeah, he phoned it in tonight. He took it easy. He didn't, and it's like, nah, I just want to play everything.
He just wanted to do a different set, maybe.
Yeah. Chuckie, how often did you see the pre-recorded set?
Quite a bunch of times, but to be honest, because I think it was a whole big thing, on social media. To be honest,
but deadmau5 said, yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of understand it when you have to sync a big, like $100,000 firework. I understand it. But I've seen the pre-recorded thing on different levels. I've seen the way Armin van Buuren does it. Like he has this whole system. He communicates with the front of house, and he doesn't necessarily have to play that one record, that specific record. He doesn't have to have like a specific set list, because they could just do it on the fly. Oh, he's gonna play this record. Okay, we got this, and then they already got the everything synced to the BPM, so they automatically the fireworks will sync to whatever he's doing. So I've seen it on different levels, but I get it. But yeah, man, it's there needs to be space for room for how do you say it, to be spontaneous and stuff.
That's what I wanted to ask you. How big, like, I feel like it's kind of a redundant question. As DJs, we know that there are DJs on the main stage that do the thing. Right. We know that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not a thing. But when deadmau5 put that statement out, he's like, yeah, there's like videos that are synced up and pyro. And I always thought, like, I don't know, you play in a club and you have a really good light guy that like knows the songs that you're playing, they anticipate, and they're doing shit on beat. This is what I anticipated, what I thought it was the same for the show.
No, because there's levels to this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not about the guy just pressing the button and the link syncs to the beat. It's full on LED screens, big ass LED.
That screens. Song.
Yeah.
Then you transition and it changes.
One thing I do like is when you go to live in Miami, the VJ, the guy has all the hip hop, all the latest hip hop. He has all the videos, and he kind of knows the DJ. So whatever he's gonna play, he just looks at his CD, pulls up the song, literally starts syncing the track, and plays the video. That's dope. You know what I'm saying? But obviously with dance music and the whole production, it's different, and there's a lot of responsibility. So it's not about the light jockey knows the groove, or he can see the build up and he can see the drop coming. It's gotten so much bigger, there's so many more people involved into that whole thing that sync is the only option almost. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I said the other day. This is why I feel like I don't even belong on the main stage no more, because it's
gotten so sterile.
Yeah, man. It's just so.
It's almost more work. It's more work to fake the funk, right? To be
a lot of hands in the pot,
put on their show. Yeah. You're an actor at that point. You're a competent DJ, and we all know it. But you have to act based upon the requirements for what's going on.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of tours with like a lot of artists, and a lot of producer artists, and they would just play their set, and I would just be like, whoa, that's crazy, man. Are you not getting bored by this shit? Like playing, and I would be like every night, because we were like on this 1 month tour, and I'm trying to figure out like, oh, for the next set I want to have this. You still want to have that energy, but you want to find another record for that.
Right. You're always tweaking it.
You're always tweaking.
Always tweaking the set.
Have you seen? And I've always been under the understanding that this is just too far, but I want to know: have you actually seen, like, let's say a 90-minute set on one track, just hit play, 90 minutes it goes? Have you ever seen anything that bad?
Not in person, but I've seen videos. Like there's a lot of people doing it.
Okay. So that is a thing. I've always thought like there's no way it's that bad. Maybe just a preset set, like songs in the same order. People do that all the time.
I haven't seen it on that level, but I know people do it. I know people do it. Definitely do it. But I haven't seen it in person. Like, no. No. I think first time they started talking about it when they said, oh, Steve Angelo, he has a pre-recorded set. But I've seen it play many times. Like, or even people
the real ass DJ.
yeah. But even like they were saying the same shit about David Guetta, and I've seen him kill it, with just fly selecting whatever.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it like that, no, man.
Yeah, because to me, I'm like, that seems too far. But people made it. That was the thing. Now, a predetermined set, sure, fine. Like that's who cares?
Yeah, of course. But the way I do it, I would say right before my set, I decide my first 3 or 4 records. And then I go by energy. Okay, like in 50 minutes in, I want to have this kind of vibe,
little thing.
Yeah. So most of the times, because now for me, it was hard to get used to the record box, preparing putting records in one crate, and that's all I'm gonna stick to and play this. It was really hard for me. Even up to now, I still have problems with that. I just cannot decide. So my crates would always be like a good 100 records.
You just scroll through them.
Scroll through, or I have a folder with 4 different playlists, and those playlists would like be different genres. So I would have, let's say, I don't know, a techno. It would have like 20 records in the techno, great, And if I would have a tech house, well, it would have 20 or 30 records. So I would still have a good 100 records in a folder.
Okay.
So that's the way I do it. Yeah, man.
So it's kind of different every time.
Yeah. It's always different, yeah. But of course, sometimes you have this one specific mix. You're like, oh fuck, that's cool.
You got your routines that always work.
Routines. Yeah, of course, man. You kind of build a catalog
from that.
That's then eventually that's your sound.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
No, of course, there are stories of. I know a lot of purist DJs from back in the days. They were like, yo. I don't know his name, but just one guy. He's like, yo, I never play any record twice. That's a little bit too,
That's too much.
That's too much.
Well, the record is nice. You play it twice on a different party. Okay, yes.
Yeah,
absolutely. There's a couple questions I want to ask you before we ride out. A couple things we do every time we do the show. We do a lightning round, where I ask you a this or a that, and you got to pick between the 2 artists.
Actually, and I'll do the lightning round for my pick.
Okay.
Because I have a good pick, because we've talked about these artists.
So Chuckie, these are all previous episodes, but you're going to pick one artist to stay, and the other is gone forever. You can't play any of their music. You can't listen to them. No, nothing. So we're going to do 5 rounds of this. Travis, what's your pick?
It is Frankie Knuckles versus Swedish House Mafia.
That's an easy one, man.
Okay. Okay.
I love my boys, but they gotta go.
Yeah.
Frankie Knuckles stays.
Frankie stays.
Yep.
Clips or Mobb Deep?
Clips gotta go.
Okay. Dilla or Pete Rock?
Fuck. Because I'm big on Pete Rock. I'm big on Pete Rock, man. But I gotta let him go, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sade or Aaliyah?
That's not fair, bro. But Aaliyah's not Aaliyah. So Aaliyah, no, Sade gotta go. She gotta go. Sorry.
Okay, fair. Beatles or Beach Boys?
Beatles gotta go.
Beatles?
No. Sorry, Beach Boys.
Okay. Missy Elliott or Busta Rhymes?
No, that ain't right, man. That's not even. No, man. You can't do that shit, man. Only because Busta Rhymes is my boy. Missy gotta go, but you know it's not. That shit ain't right, man.
Right. We know.
No, man. Yo, that's fucked. Whoever came up with that one, you're toxic.
It's toxic energy. You're gonna hate these next two: Prince or Michael Jackson.
Oh fuck. Prince gotta go. Sorry.
Happy birthday, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Happy birthday, Michael. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he passed away on my birthday, man. That was crazy.
Damn.
Bro,
so you shared the same birthday with DJ Ninja. Shout out DJ Ninja.
So I had my birthday and we were at my house pre-gaming, whatever, and then we would hit town, right? And then right before we hit town, I turned on TV. I'm like, yo, Michael Jackson passed away. Bro, I had no birthday party that night. I'm like,
birthday's canceled.
Fucked up my whole day.
Fucked up my whole day. Yeah, man.
Man. Biggie or Tupac?
I'm a Biggie guy, so sorry, Tupac.
Biggie, okay. And last but not least, Outkast or Hall & Oates?
Shit. It's still a hard one, but Outkast.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That's crazy. No, but if you think of it, that's a crazy one, bro.
Yeah, man. It's
similar amount of albums, a duo.
Oh no, that's crazy, man.
The duo split.
That's icons, man. We have a podcast playlist that we do. We add one song every week. It can be any song. What song does Chuckie want to share with the world? One song from you to the world.
Soho Hot Music.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
My second pick
Wait, what up?
My second pick would be the Prodigy Funky Shit.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Dude.
But no, Soho Hot Music, man.
Try to put both of those on there. Put
them both.
That's
Soho might be Pal Joey on Spotify.
Wait a minute, what was the other one?
Prodigy Funky Shit.
Yep.
Yo, but write down this record I was talking about at the beginning. It's called Skeeta Ranks. So SKEETA. And then Ranks is RANX. The record is called I Like, or I Like It, I believe. I Like it, I think.
I like.
Yeah, and it's
Armand's Back in the Woods mix.
Who's Armand? Yeah.
Wow.
You play that record, you're gonna be. Is this? I asked him about this specific record. I'm like, bro, yeah, that it's nervous. And then he had this other project called Armand and the Banana Spliffs. I asked him about those as well. I'm like, bro, how?
Dude.
Early Armand stuff is sick. Like even like the one he had with the Method Man sample.
And yeah. The Funk Phenomenon.
Not Funk Phenomenon, but
no.
it sounded like it was like it's gonna drive me nuts. Now I gotta find it.
While you're doing that, Neek, I want to ask Chuckie. We have our multiverse. Who is playing Chuckie if we make a movie about you? It can be any actor, dead or alive, anyone really.
Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah.
It's only because people like, you know how many times people came up to me like, yo, you look like Cuba Gooding Jr. You know? one time me and him got drunk together in, I think it was New York. And a guy even more drunk than us came up to us like, yo, you guys are brothers? I'm like, oh my God.
Holland, haven't you gotten drunk with him?
He's a wild dude.
Yeah.
He is
used to come all the time to excess.
He's like on another level, man. He doesn't stop. He just goes and goes. Yeah, he knows it. He knows it.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty well documented too by now.
Oh, you know, it's funny. And they hate me when I play in New York and it's 4:30 and Busta Rhymes shows up. Because me and him, 4:30, it's trouble, bro. We get in like endless conversations, and Bounce try to leave at 5:30. We still up in the club trying to tear shit up and talking about whatever.
Dude, that's fucking dope.
I had that with Busta Rhymes, man. That's crazy.
Man, I told Kuba when I met him, I said my favorite role was you in the barber chair in Coming to America.
Yes.
I said that was your best role.
Yes.
That was your fucking best, man. Chuckie, before we ride out, let people know anything you want to promote, anything you got on the horizon right now. This is your time to blast that promo.
Yeah, man. So I've been working on a lot of music. It's gonna be super exciting, new Chuckie stuff. Very inspired by whatever's going on right now in the techno and the tech house realm. I don't want to call it techno. I don't want to call it tech house, but it's, it brought a lot of fresh inspiration, but also it's because it allowed me to take it back to the roots. So I'm incorporating the early dirty stuff with, 2023 music. So 2024 is going to be super exciting. I'm gearing up for 2024 because I got so much stuff coming out. And half of the stuff I've been also producing for a lot of people.
Nice.
A lot of exciting stuff, but mostly a lot of new Chuckie records. It's just gonna be so different.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm here for the Chuckie Vinyl World Tour. Can we get you and your records to the States, man? That's what we need.
I'm waiting for the first promoter to book me for that shit.
Oh,
fuck yeah.
I'm ready for that shit. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, man. That's what I'm here for. Be on the lookout for that.
Actually, that would be such a milestone for like me getting, like, I'm already getting some requests in Holland to do like a all vinyl set, and they would pay my regular fee. That's already super dope. And just to go overseas with a vinyl set, are you kidding me?
Fuck yeah.
Ready.
Fuck yeah. Well, I want to make sure we give you your flowers before you roll out, because you're a fucking icon. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us, man.
Yeah,
it was it was a blast. We had a fucking great time with you.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on, man.
Yeah,
man.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. I really like to chop it up, but obviously, you can see, like, I really like to talk about the culture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why we're here too.
Thank you for having me, guys.
You have an open seat anytime you want to come back, man. Thank you very much, Chuckie. Ladies and gentlemen, DJ Chuckie, make some noise.
Chuckie.
All right, we'll take care, and we will see y'all next week. Until then, peace.